Hey everyone, how y'all doing? Time to bring some focus to your favorite and not so favorite geeky films. Cam here and welcome back to Cam in Focus. Before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all of our geeky news and discussions. And also, don't forget that we still have promotions going on for metallicdicegames.com and rippedapparel.com. Head on over to metallicdicegames.com and use the code GNN for 10% off of all their products. And go visit rippedapparel.com and use the code GNN10, that's GNN10 at checkout for 10% off of their products. Let's get right to it. So, I recently watched an anime film called Patema Inverted. Well, rewatched. I saw it once a couple years ago and I thought it was okay. And now, after rewatching it, I still think it's okay. It didn't necessarily wow me or anything, and in a storytelling capacity, it's lacking to say the least. This film is very much style over substance, but in some ways I feel like that works to the film's benefit. I know the idea might turn some of you off, but hear me out. Now, this won't be so much an analysis of one particular aspect of the film, so much as a general review in which I discuss the good and the bad. First of all, regarding the film's premise, it plays very much with the concept of gravity. There are lots of perspective shifts that make for an incredibly visually interesting spectacle. The animation here is quite good, and how this film switches between upside down and right side up, or at least what we think are upside down and right side up, honestly does a lot to elevate the story. But speaking of story, this film doesn't really have one. Not to say that it doesn't have a progression of events, but in terms of narrative, it's pretty bare bones. And this is due in no small part to the characters. This film doesn't really have any. Not to say that there aren't people in it that participate in the plot and spout dialogue and do things, but they're not characters. They're as paper thin as they could possibly be. The most minuscule motivations coupled with a lack of much emotional output makes them hardly relatable in any way. There are some funny lines here and there, but in terms of emotional weight, this movie is about as heavy as a school play. The good guys are good guys and the bad guy is a bad guy. That's about as much characterization as we get. Unfortunately, the concept of the film is a little too complicated for its own good. It suffers from some major plot holes in regards to how it chooses to portray gravity. And like a lot of anime, it suffers from some absurdly heavy-handed exposition that kind of comes out of nowhere and completely takes you out of the moment. So yeah, that all sucks, but there's something this film does that makes up for it, and that's the spectacle. The animators go that extra mile to make sure the scenery tells its story in its own way. Between the shifting perspectives, the incredible shots of epic skies and environments, this film knows how to hit home how grand they're trying to make this story. Something that truly does a lot to elevate the narrative is that there are scenes in which Patema is literally looking down into the sky, as if she's looking over a cliff down into a sea of stars. That one small idea is given so much grandeur and is so much more epic than any line of dialogue spoken in this film. And how the characters react to these things is a level of emotion that I truly wish was present in the rest of it. And when I say that, I really mean that. There are scenes in which something really emotional is supposed to be hitting these characters, but it just comes off as stilted and wooden and tired. The story is just so much better told through what you see on screen than the dialogue of the characters. By making the characters blank slates, in some ways it allows us to put ourselves in their shoes and imagine ourselves experiencing these absurd situations. And trust me, they're absurd. Like a lot of anime, it tends to go a little overboard with its concept, and sometimes it works narratively, sometimes it doesn't. But it always keeps you interested because you want to see how far it continues to go with that idea. They were super minimalistic with the story and characters so that they could wow you with the spectacle, and on that level, I think it worked. I just wish that we had at least sympathetic characters to follow that weren't just there. It does have some fun moments and some areas where you do feel legitimate tension, especially during one particular scene at the beginning of the film, which I won't spoil, but man, it had me on edge. The film makes up for its lack of character with incredible visuals and innovative sequences that capture the eye and keep it there. And that works to the film's credit enough for me to say that I'm glad I watched it. Well, that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed my little, I guess you could call it a review of Patema Inverted. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad film, but I just feel like it could be so much more. With better writing and more sympathetic characters, this could have been one of the better anime films. But I'll leave it up to you to decide. Have you seen it? What'd you think of it? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you haven't seen it, check it out for yourself and let me know what you thought. This has been Cam in Focus, proud to be part of the Geek News Now network. Find us on social media, links for everything in the description below. Have a wonderful day, everybody.